everyone, welcome to another episode of our webcast. Today we are going to talk about feedback and how to write it. As you know, feedback is one of our values. That's why we prepare a short summary of what feedback is about, and we want to share with you some hints on how to write great feedback, especially that feedback tool is around the corner. If you attended one of our feedback training before, this video is for you. If not, I really encourage you to take part in the full version. Let's talk about feedback then. Often, feedback and criticism are confused or merged into the same thing. Make sure that you understand the difference. Let's look at the official definitions. Feedback is the information about reactions to a product, a person's performance of a task, and so on, and is used as a basis for improvement. And what about the definition of criticism? It's the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. As you can see, they are pretty different from one another. So, good feedback comes always from a good place. It doesn't come from a place of criticism, but from a place of care. It has suggestions for improvement, which means that you have something to suggest in the first place. Just saying something sucks, it's not feedback, it's criticism. As you all know, feedback is a part of our life. We give it whenever we are rating a hotel or a restaurant, or our own company, or the last one we work in. We do it when we fill the office vibe surveys, but we also give it to our peers and leaders on our daily basis. Feedback is a vital element of our personal and professional development. But why give feedback now directly is one of our values. There are a lot of pros. Let's look at some of them. Feedback, giving and receiving help us to grow, show us what we can improve as a person, but also it helps us to improve in our product and in our company. It's really good also to have a second opinion and build a bigger perspective on the topic that we are working on. Help us also to avoid the bias. Moreover, we can realize about something we haven't seen before. Last but not least, it helps us to build a trustful and honest relationship in teams. When you directly say what you like and what you don't like about something, other peers know what to expect from you. And, of course, we can resolve the thing right away. Okay, what's worth remembering about feedback? There are a lot of things that block us from giving feedback. We may think we will hurt somebody, that we might not be right, and so on. Our emotions can come first, and it's hard to give rational feedback. Each of us is different. And as trivial it may sound, that's the truth. We have different sensitivity, and the exact same message can be felt as soft or very strong, depending on the person. There are also different personalities and different ways of communication. Some of us may prefer specific feedback based on data, and others would like to hear more about consequences. Some of us are very concrete and use little words, while others prefer to explain the situation in a very detailed way. Also, our mood can affect the way we perceive things. Probably we would say or write feedback differently when we are happy or hungry or upset. One more thing, it's much easier to give feedback about the results of the job, things that are measurable and things that are objective facts. It's harder to do it when it comes to behaviors. So, having it all in mind, here you will find some tips on how to give feedback in writing. Let's have a look. One important thing on how give feedback in writing is think twice or even 3 times. Giving feedback online requires more thought than it does in real life. Since you can communicate in tone and body language, you now have to consciously arrange into words. When giving feedback face-to-face, you see the reactions and you can act upon it. Explain more, add something, and so on. So before pushing send feedback, give yourself a moment. Read it again. Write it down, take coffee or do other tasks and then reread it, just to be sure that what you wrote is exactly what you meant. Another tip is use past tenses, not present. It's hard to believe it, but it makes a whole lot of difference in the way your feedback is perceived. Speaking in past tense will avoid conflicts around what we think is, and will focus the discussion on why something made someone feel a certain way. Another thing, try to be specific and avoid subjective words, because all feedback is subjective, it's hard for others to understand what you mean when you are using subjective words that mean different things to everybody. For example, what's weird for you may not be for me. Try to use objective words that are not open to interpretation to describe your subjective feelings. Also, give some hints on how to improve, so the given feedback can be more actionable. But please, avoid using the imperative. People like to feel they have agency in their work, and imperative phrasing, like do this, go there, finish that, make us feel that we are following orders. When delivering sensitive feedback, try to make a habit of using conditional phrasings. Could you, would you? It's a subtle shift in phrasing, but it conveys a big shift in perspective. You're putting the ball in their court and respecting their right to make decisions about what they will do and when. Simplify as much as you can. You may think that providing elaborate explanations softens the blow of writing constructive feedback. The intention is really good, but misguided. It's much better to get to the point. Use short sentence and common and understandable wording, especially when writing feedback in English. It is also really important to avoid getting dramatic. Use words carefully. Hyperboles and exaggerations can and probably will upset the person. Don't use words like always or everybody. Leave caps lock off and resist the temptation to bold, italic, and underline. Please remember to check the grammar. No matter if we write in our native language or not, we should make sure that the feedback we give is understandable and without mistakes. It's really different when you say your dinner versus your dinner. One leaves you nourished, the other leaves you dead. So please use correct grammar. Try to offer the opportunity to talk. A short note that you are always open to discuss it can show real care and good intention, especially if something is unclear. And remember, never leave peers without feedback. If somebody asks you for feedback, it means that your opinion is important and you shouldn't leave it without answer. If you don't really feel like using feedback tool, go and talk face to face. If for some reason you don't have any feedback to share, you can use our new options and send an email with an explanation that this time feedback from your side is not possible. That's all for this short episode. I hope you like it. See ya!